Hi guys, so this is a different type of video. Lannon's here to join me. We're actually in his nursery right now. Say hi! Hi! Yeah, Mommy got a text. He's playing with his new car. So, if you know me in real life, this might not be a video you typically would want to click. Because you know me in real life, you know I don't really have a lot of boundaries, and anything I'm going to say in this video, I would probably tell you face to face, in person. However, not everybody likes to hear things like this. As you can tell by the title of this video, this is Lannon's birth vlog, or story, rather. He's a few days away from one, and I figured, you know, there's never any good time to sit down and film this. So let's just do it now. Huh. So again, if you know me in real life, and you don't think you want to know the dirty details of this, it is a birth story. There's pretty dirty details. Click out. Don't feel bad for not watching. Dad, I know you probably don't want to know about mucus plugs, or mine, for that matter. It's okay. Click out. If you're sticking around for this, you know what you're getting into, and you've been warned. Huh. Lannon, if you watch this in the future, maybe only watch it after you have your first child, okay? Or right before you have your first child. Yeah, okay? I know you well enough to know you're going to do what you're going to do, but that's Mommy's recommendation, okay? This is how you came into the world. With a bang. Okay, so we're going to do this video while feeding a baby. This kind of goes in with the whole I have no boundaries. I shouldn't even say boundaries because I got plenty of boundaries. No off-limit topics. I have no off-limit topics. So I had Forrest watch a couple documentaries with me on home birth. I wanted him to be an informed decision partner in it. So we did that, and then I scheduled an appointment with a midwife that was in a hospital. And these midwives typically work under doctors or with doctors. So I don't want to bash the hospital, but we discovered quickly that that was not for us. I started looking around for a midwife, and I scheduled a few appointments, and I found one that I absolutely loved. We had an interview with her, and she was absolutely amazing. My due date was April 13th of 2017. And I, for sure, thought I was going to be at least a week overdue. Yeah. I was completely, like, my mind was made up. I was going to go at least a week overdue. And Easter was, I believe, the 16th. So I was like, yeah, he's not going to be here for Easter. They might have to, like, give me the labor induction smoothie concoction 2 weeks later. And, like, it was not a possibility in my mind at all to go into labor early. I was trying to prepare like it could happen, but I really did not think it was going to. I thought for sure it was going to be late. I had tons of contractions the last few months of pregnancy. They didn't hurt at all. Like, honestly, unless if I was touching my stomach, I didn't even know I was having them. On Friday, April 7th, I went to work like normal, and I was having a few contractions, but they didn't hurt. I mean, like, up until this point, like, within a week of that day, I had had a few contractions where I knew that they were happening, and I was, like, excited. I was like, yeah, this is cool. Like, I'm gonna have a baby soon. I was so uncomfortable, and I had such bad heartburn, and I was so ready for it. So ready for it. And that evening, I got home from work, and I was cleaning the house a little bit, and I was really tired, and I just kind of relaxed, and I was knitting a blanket, and Forrest went out to dinner with a friend, and they were fixing a bike, and all that jazz, and I was like, okay, well, don't be out too late. So while he was gone at 8 o'clock, I went to the bathroom, and TMI, here we go. If you know me in real life, and you don't want to look at me funny, or whatever, it's gonna be weird, click out. So I went to the bathroom and I lost some of my mucus plug. And so I texted the midwife. I was like, hey, I know this stuff can regenerate. It's not the biggest of deals, but I thought I'd let you know because it's 8 o'clock at night and I don't want to be texting you out of the blue in the middle of the night if something happened to happen, which I highly doubt it will because I'm going to go 2 weeks late. Lost part of my mucus plug. 99.9% positive that that's what this is. So that happened, and then I was exhausted. And so I went and I laid down and I was like, I'm going to bed. Yeah, so mommy and daddy went to bed. And I woke up at 8:34 with a contraction. And I didn't know what a contraction was. This is my first labor. But I was like, this is different than what I have been having. When you're tired and you roll over and you're like, okay, I'm going back to sleep. I don't know what that was. I don't care. I'm so tired. And so I literally woke up every 30-ish minutes with a contraction. Yes, you did this to mommy. And so at 12:30, I woke up and I was like, screw this. I'm done. These Braxton Hicks. Yeah. I thought I was just finally having Braxton Hicks, and I thought all the other Braxton Hicks that I had weren't actually Braxton Hicks. It was just like in my mind. So my midwife had told me once upon a time that if you thought you were in labor, but you weren't completely sure, if you take a bath, it can relax you and ease away the Braxton Hicks. Or if it's really labor, it can encourage the contractions. So I was like, I'm gonna take a bath and get rid of these Braxton Hicks and get some good sleep because I'm tired and I have to clean the whole house tomorrow. Because it was filthy. To my surprise, the Braxton Hicks did not stop. In fact, they went from getting a contraction every 30 minutes to every 5 minutes. Yeah. And Forrest is still sleeping, mind you. He's already home, in bed, tucked away asleep. He's passed out. So I'm like, I'm calling my mom. I call my mom, and she wakes up my dad, and they're both on speakerphone. They're like, you think it's like... And mom's like, let me listen to you go through one. And she's like, you're in labor. You need to call the midwife. You're definitely in labor. I'm like, no, this isn't labor. This is a week early. This is not labor. It's not labor. I don't know what it is, but it's not labor. These are just some really intense Braxton Hicks, and they're going against everything that's showing me it's labor. But it's not labor! So... then I'm in the process of talking to my mom. I'm on my little labor ball thing, you know, the balance ball thing. And at this point, the only way I can be comfortable is if I'm on all fours during these contractions. Because they're contractions and not Braxton Hicks. Duh, Melissa. So I'm on all fours every time I go into one. And I'm like shaking my hips and... I don't know why, but like pushing the palm of my hand into the ground helped. I don't know. Crazy. So the contractions actually became every 3 to 4 minutes apart. And at 2:50, my mom had finally convinced me enough that this was probably labor and I needed to call the midwife. So I called her and she told me that if they become 45 seconds to a minute long for 3 minutes, that it'll be a faster labor because something like that had been happening. I told her, I was like, it's really weird because I'm getting a contraction, but every couple contractions are only like, they're really quick and, oh goodness, love. They're really quick and she's like, yeah, that could mean you're going to have a faster labor. But the other ones are going for a minute. And so I was just like so confused. I was like, this isn't what they tell you to do on TV. Like, what the heck is wrong with me? And she's like, yeah, it means you could probably have a faster labor. I'm like, great! So not only am I in labor and in denial about being in labor, but it could be a faster labor. Awesome! And so she told me to call her in a little bit and to try to get some rest. I don't know who can get some rest with contractions, but I just basically turned on the TV. I think at the time I was binge watching Vikings, which was funny because whenever the theme song played, Landon would, that was the only thing that would get Landon on cue to kick in my belly. I should play it for him and film his reaction nowadays. See if it kicks anything into his little mind. So I'm binge watching Vikings on the bouncy ball, but I'm not on it the way you're supposed to be on it, like bouncing. I'm hunched over it. My belly's too big to like lay on it. So my belly's right here and then the ball's right here and I'm holding on to it like, kill me. They hurt, but they weren't like the worst. I knew it was going to get a lot worse. I mean, you're having a home birth. You're not getting medication. You know it's going to be pretty bad. So 3:30 rolls around. I lost the rest of my mucus plug. And I was like, this is happening. I think that was like the last point where I was like, I know this is happening. This is labor. And one of my biggest things about labor was I was terrified I was going to poop in the pool. That Forrest was going to have to fish out little floaty poops in the pool. So I ate half a watermelon at 3:30 in the morning because I was like, this'll get rid of all of it. It's like a cleanse. Who needs an enema? Eat half a watermelon. And watermelon had been one of my biggest cravings. So like I got the idea like during the last like week or so of pregnancy because I was like, watermelon's so good, but it really helps everything go. 'Cause, I mean, it's watermelon. It's all fiber and water. So I ate half a watermelon, was running back and forth to the bathroom, was really stupid of me because the only way I was comfortable during these contractions was to lay on all fours, and then I was running back and forth to the bathroom. Go, Melissa, you're a genius. This is what Melissa, who hadn't slept for over 24 hours, does while in labor. Alone, because I still had not woken up Forrest, mind you. And my parents, I was like, well, you guys go get some sleep. I'm gonna go do this and try to watch the TV show. Did not remember a single episode. Yeah! So, I'm like, oh my god, my house is a mess. I have to clean. So I'm trying to tidy up the kitchen, I'm trying to be quiet so I don't wake up Forrest, and I'm back and forth, I'm starting laundry, I'm doing all these things, and all I can think about is I have to vacuum these floors because they're disgusting. They're disgusting, but I can't wake up Forrest, so that's gotta be the last thing I do. I accidentally wake up Forrest at 4:15 in the morning, and I'm like, go back to bed, I'm awake, you know, I think I'm having contractions, but it's okay, just go back to bed. So I get him back to bed. I convince him that it's not like an emergency, and he's exhausted, so he's like, I'm going back to bed. If you're telling me I'm going back to bed. Ah! So at this point, I get him back to bed, and I'm like, okay, obviously I can't clean. But I keep having this nagging that I need to clean. I'm like, the midwives are going to see how dirty my house is, and they're not going to let me keep my baby. This is the logic of a pregnant Melissa with no sleep, who still doesn't totally believe she's in labor. Because I'm like, at 4:45 or 4:55, I'm like, I'm gonna take a bath. Because just in case that first bath was false, this one could get rid of these Braxton Hicks contractions. This one could do it. They're not Braxton Hicks, Melissa! You're in labor! I was a pregnant idiot. I was in labor, and I did not believe it. Mind you, I loved baths during this pregnancy. Like, there was a point where, I'd say probably by 7.5 months, I took a bath almost every single day with Epsom salt to help, like, my muscles, and apparently it was a really good thing, because I took way too many Tums in the beginning, and I almost calcified my placenta. I know, it sounds really appealing, right? But the magnesium in the salt helped reverse some of that. So I had a pretty nice placenta once I birthed that SOB. So, I'm in the bathtub, and I'm like, it's a wreck down here. Let's shave it. Because what's better than healing from a labor while hair is trying to grow through? You know how itchy that is? This was by far the dumbest idea I ever had. Like 8 hours in labor, and I'm like, let's shave, let's clean the house. So stupid. This is totally my personality. 8 hours into labor and I still don't think it's labor. Let's take a bath just to make sure it's labor. So, the bath was very fast. I think the bath was only like 10 minutes because my contractions went from every 4 to 5 minutes for the last few hours to every 1 to 3 minutes. And I'm like, I'm just gonna lay down in between these contractions. And they slowly got back up to every 4-ish minutes. I can't flipping do this! Who does this? Who does this? So at 6:45, I call the midwife. And I'm like, this is it. I'm in labor. I am in labor. Wholeheartedly, I am in labor. Shoot me. Yeah! So I talked to her, she listens to a few contractions. She's like, yeah, you're in labor. I'm coming over soon. Let me get ready. Grab my stuff. Sweet. I'm gonna wake my boyfriend up because I've been in labor for about 10 hours and he's still over here sleeping. So I have no more notes after 7:15 in the morning because it got so intense. Forrest listens to me, okay? I'm over, they're giving me some stuff to help, some essential oils and things. They get me positioned in bed to where it'll not help with my contractions, but it'll instead help bring them on. So Forrest is like, hey, I'm supposed to meet this guy for these wheels. And I'm like, are you freaking me? The midwife just left because she's like, you got about 10 more hours at least. Call me if they get any more intense. And you want to leave me to go get some wheels? Yeah, you go get some wheels because I'll kill you if you stay here, sir. And I can't really blame him totally because I told him, I was like, it might not be labor. It might not be labor. I can't vacuum anymore at this point. So he vacuumed and then he takes off to go get these wheels and I'm sitting there in labor. So he comes in, he's like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm back. I'm going to go outside and start cleaning and buffing the wheels. And I was like, at this point, the contractions had been so intense. The only thing that would help them is if I actually started bearing down. And I was like, fuck that. You need to call the midwife. And he's like, really? You think she needs to come back already? And from what I've heard from him, this was around 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. So I'd been in labor for about 12 hours. And I was like, yeah, you need to call her. I don't even know if she's going to make it at this point. He's like, are you serious? For real? Really? For real? Yeah! I'm pushing! So I abandoned the position that her and her assistant had put me in. Her other midwife. She's a midwife in training. And I'm now on the floor, on all fours, and trying to pull my clothes off. And I was like, set up the birth pool! Lannon's laughing. Set up the birth pool! The baby's coming. You was on your way. You was causing all kind of havoc. These smell like apples. He calls the midwife. And she gets there, and her birth assistant are there, and they're rushing around, because I'm, like, literally pushing during these contractions. And I'm on all fours, and he's filling up the birth pool with water, and they're getting everything set up, and they're moving dressers, and it was chaos, utter chaos. And I'm like, can I get in the pool? Oh, and then Forrest, I was like, call my sister, because my sister was going to come over and take photos for us. And I'm like, don't forget to call Danielle. So Danielle gets there shortly after the midwives, and she's taking pictures, and everybody has told me I've kind of blacked out some of this part, and I didn't feel like it was as long of a process as it was, but it was like probably 10 or 11-ish in the morning once everybody got there and everything was set up, and I was still trying to push, and nothing was progressing at this point. So they've got me in different positions, and Danielle's trying to take photos, and it's very intense, but I didn't realize how intense it was. And Forrest is just kind of standing there, and I've got like this homemade Gatorade that I'd made, and he's on Gatorade duty. And yeah, and there's 3 midwives. So there's my midwife, her backup midwife, and then the midwife in training, who's also a doula. They were all absolutely amazing, and they're all helping me through it, and I forget what it's called, but I'll insert a picture if I can right here. She would take this scarf, it was so pretty, but she would wrap my belly with it, and I was on all fours, and she'd kind of shimmy my belly with it to help get the baby engaged and in the right position, I believe. And then I was not very nice at this point. I was very intense, and right before this part, I had mentioned, I was like, it hurt, okay? It hurt, and I wanted to push. Pushing helped, made it feel a little better. And I was like, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be. Like, I thought birth was going to be so horrible and, like, excruciating, like, the only thing you wanted was to die. And I was like, this is bad, don't get me wrong, but this isn't as bad as I thought it would be. And I thought, of course, I was near the end. I was at least somewhere near, you know, the last stages of labor, and it wasn't. I wasn't. I thought I was, but I wasn't. So they've got me birthing in the birth pool, and they're like, here, let's try the toilet. So I'm sitting on the toilet, and Forrest is talking, and I'm like, shut up, you did this. And the midwife is looking over, and she's like, it's okay. And I'm just thinking in my head, it's not okay. It was not okay in my mind. So then I'm pushing on the bed, and then I was like, can you break my waters? Can you please break my waters? Because at this point, I had watched so many birth vlogs and so many documentaries and things, and so many births. I feel like I've been at a million births. And the thing that had been repeating in my mind is, when they break your waters, it's like a pressure's gone. And I was like, please break my waters. And she's like, okay, well, let's try this real quick, and then we'll try to break your waters. So I'm on all fours on my bed. Forrest is behind me. My sister is behind me. There's one midwife next to me, and the two other midwives are behind me. And I'm like, during this contraction. Sorry, buddy, it's mommy. I scared him. So I push, and I'm screaming, and my water bursts behind me. So attractive. There's still a joke between me and Forrest that if he can still be with me after watching me from behind, popping my own waters, it's love. It is love. Yeah. So hours and hours go by, and I've got Epsom salt in the bath, in the birth pool, to help with muscles and everything, and it's supposed to ease some of the pain. And hours and hours go by, and finally I'm back in the birth pool, and I'm literally on my legs, one leg over here, one leg over here, squatting down, and I'm holding onto the birth pool like this. And Forrest likes to joke that my traps were the biggest traps he's ever seen in life. And they probably were, because I literally had so many Charlie horses in them that they were sore for weeks. It was awesome. It was the best trap workout of my life. But the only trap workout of my life, because I will never work my traps after that. So, Saturday, April 8th, 2017, at 4:17 p.m., Landon made his entrance into the world. Yes, you were 7 pounds and 10 ounces. You were 20.5 inches long, and your head was 34. I think centimeters? Definitely not inches. So he was born, and you were born just like this, only facing the other way, and the midwife helped me pull him up and put him on my chest. And little known thing, we didn't know that Landon was going to be a Landon. He was either going to be Landon or he was going to be Eliana. And we didn't know. Yeah, Eliana, that was going to be your name if you were a little girl. You were going to be Eliana Rain. And when he was born, he took a very big breath of water because he was obviously in water. The water was cooler. I would not let them put warmer water in, so he thought he was feeling air against his face, and that's what makes a baby take their first deep breath. Oh, you want it up? Okay. So he thought he was feeling air and took his first deep breath, but he instead inhaled a bunch of the salt magnesium water. And he had great ACAR and all of the different different tests and things that they had done when he was first born. And then a few hours later, his heartbeat was a little fast. And I have some medical training, not much, I mean basics. So I was like, okay, well, I've got my stethoscope, let me, you know, pay attention to him. She's got this heart monitor thing. And so, long story short, we figured out that the salt in the water was what was causing all of this. So it wasn't like this big emergency, but for a while we were thinking, oh my gosh, what's wrong with our baby? What can we do to help him? Do we need to go to a hospital? Do we need to transfer? Like, what's going on? And it all turned out to be okay. I ate half a watermelon, he ate the magnesium water. We were both cleaned out. We got rid of all of that horrible meconium within the first, like, 12 hours. He just kept pooping, and I remember thinking, I'm holding him, and nobody's handing me a diaper to put on him, but I couldn't, like, process enough to be like, hey, hand me a diaper for, like, 3 hours. So he didn't have a diaper on him for, like, 3 hours. He was just skin to skin on me and Daddy for the first, probably 4 or 3 hours. And then they weighed him again and all of that. But it all turned out perfect. My sister left right after he was born. We didn't tell family that she was there because we told everybody that we didn't want a bunch of people there. And I felt bad not having everyone there if there was going to be one person there. But I really, really wanted photos. So I was going to have a friend take the photos, and we had a falling out shortly before my labor. So I was like, okay, well, Danielle and I have always had a very strained relationship. She would even tell you that. And she allowed me to be at her birth. So I was like, you know what? Let's have Danielle do it. And that's how it turned out. And it turned out great. And I was so excited with how it turned out. I wish there was a little bit better communication between my mother and like my sister and Forrest. But everybody was trying to avoid text messages because nobody was supposed to know Danielle was there. And I was so out of my mind that I couldn't process anything other than getting through that contraction. Yeah. But it's worth it. It took me about 9 months, but I finally got to the point where I'm like, okay, I could do this again. I could have more babies. That was a rough labor. Oh, and the reason why I was wanting to push and he wasn't coming out and progressing was because he came out like Superman! So he came out with his hand up like this. So, and his clavicle was fine. He didn't break anything on the way out. We eventually got him out. It just took a little longer than what it was probably supposed to. But yeah, he came out with this hand up like this. And what was hilarious about that was he was like that in the womb for most of the time. And then when he would sleep, as a newborn, he wanted this hand out of the swaddle and up here. He would always sleep with it up there. And then obviously he was born a few days before Easter. I think he was 8 days old on Easter. So as a joke, Forrest got him an Easter basket with Superman. Isn't that so sweet? You mommy Superman? Ripping vaginas apart, one vagina at a time. Don't say that! Oh, I love you! One day you're gonna look back on this. I hope you do. I love you so much. My precious baby boy. My little Landy bear. So that is the story of how Landy Bear entered the world with a bang! Made it this far, congrats! You heard our epic labor. This little boy made me a mommy. So we're gonna go. If you like this video, please like it. If you don't like it, don't dislike it. Just go away. We don't want you. If you're new here and you want to see more videos from us, please subscribe. Say subscribe. Click the notification bell if you don't want to miss a single of our uploads. We do try to upload 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m. because we get up at 5 every morning, sometimes at 4 because we don't sleep through the night still, and we're a year old. I wish on April 6th, 2017, when I went to bed, I had realized that that was going to be the last decent night of sleep I ever had. Yeah. Thank you guys. We'll catch you in the next vlog. Huh. Say bye. Bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye 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 bye. Bye. Bye guys.